Hey y'all, we get the question quite often, how do I collect a deposit or retainer on a job where I haven't even put together the scope of work? I don't have any detail in there yet. I'm going to do that at a later date, but I just want to collect the money. The method to do that is going to be under the budget. We have to add a line item to collect the money on, and I'll add one here called just deposit, but it can be whatever is the most intuitive to you. And then the amount you're going to collect can be the price. And so you can send this along on a deposit or invoice, either one. Create that, and if you've already collected it, you could record it. Otherwise, you would send it to them. I'll just mark this one as paid in full. And now I've collected $10,000 on the job. Back here, I'll see on the dashboard, 10,000 bucks has been collected. So let's say from here, you do go through the process of building out the full scope of work. I'm just going to choose this siding group for the time being, and I'm going to give us a little bit more to work with as far as job size. So now we're at an $86,000 job, going to net about 32, not too bad. So in this case, let's say you start the work, and actually let's get this approval signed as well while we're here. So proposal gets sent along. I would exclude the deposit here. We don't need that to be approved. And approve this, assuming they would sign. This would come back and set your budget as well as the approved price of the job. When you complete the work, or maybe you get a certain degree through the project, you can send your next invoice. So new invoice, I'm going to collect for the construction work that's completed. It's defaulting to include the items that have a remaining amount on it. And you could collect, let's say, 50% of the job, which is a total of 38K. But we also want to credit that deposit, right? So I'm going to include the deposit, which will reduce it by $10,000 if I enter that dollar amount right there. So create the invoice. They're going to see the deposit. It's going to reduce their first invoice by $10,000. And effectively, what I'm doing here is I'm moving the money from this retainer line, and I have distributed it to the actual construction work that's complete. So if you're in your budget, if you scroll over to the right, you'll see the total approved price and the invoiced amount. You now have collected $0 in the deposit because in that last invoice, we redistributed the funds to the actual construction work. So that's how you can do it in JobTread. This is the best way for having the documentation for it. You could also just record a payment of 10K here and then apply that on your first invoice that you send along to the client. The only issue with that is there's not really a method to provide documentation to the client showing them of that $10,000 payment. That's why we generally prefer the route that we showed you here. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Feel free to reach out at support@jobtread.com. Thanks so much.